This is Jeremy Roenick, and guess what? You guys are listening to the Jim Bob Show.
The NFL are eventual. They are all dreaming. It is America's pastime at this point.
I'm the voice of reality. I am Nostra Jimbabas.
You came back to host the show.
Came back from you didn't come back.
Hey, this is Brian Urlacher, and you're listening to The Jim Bob Show. Hey, this is Jim McMahon, and you're listening to The Jim Bob Show.
It's been a big disappointment.
Well, you're a hard guy to please. Don't forget that. You're a hard guy to please.
I don't know about you, but I'm here to talk about the art of the return. We got Devin Hester coming on, guys, and the guy seemed to put things in slow motion effect.
I hope he calls in. It's not elusive.
Yeah, I hope he's not elusive, because he was elusive. Let me tell you something. Many elite athletes describe that the game slows down. When I played, the game never slowed down for me. So I was never, I guess, considered an elite athlete because the game seemed to go a million miles an hour for me from the moment I stepped on the NFL field. It was the fastest element ever. Even though I held the record for 32 years at Green Bay for most return yardage. I don't want to brag about shit like that, but Deion's record, Devin broke Deion's Sanders' record while he was wearing a Falcons jersey. Not everybody knows that, but after 8 seasons with the Bears, he spent a couple seasons with Atlanta Falcons, and so he broke the NFL return yard record while an Atlanta Falcon. So Deion was there. I want to ask him about, hey, how'd that go? Did you like that? Was that great? And then what were you thinking when you high-stepped it into the end zone like Deion did? I mean, did you look up into the stands, or was he on the sidelines with you? How'd that go down, bro? Tell me about it. And did you shit your pants?
Straight jealousy is what it was.
Was it? Yeah. So when you catch the ball and you're looking at the 11 guys in front of you, and you're sprinting at them, are you looking at the geometry of the grass? How do you know and see the hole so fast, or does it just happen and you've got such great lateral move and such a lateral thrust that you can make these cuts like nobody else can?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, Devin, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
You look good, buddy.
Appreciate it, man.
How much is one of them, DJ?
Wearing the U, babe. You're wearing the U. Are you going to the game?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I tell you what. Can't afford a ticket. So they were saying that you had to buy 75 Fiesta Bowl tickets to equate to what this bowl ticket is. But anyhow, hey man, we've got, we're going to get the introduction here and everything going on. So we got the greatest NFL return person in the world. I'm so pumped up about it. So
and excited to talk about Gridiron Greats and everything with that. And of course, we're going to get a little snack talk in on the Southern Recipe pork rind. So we're going to hit it all. And if you can hear us, we'll get going. 720 WGN high atop Chicago Skyline Studio, typically there. But Jim Bob, right now we're in the Wanna Parlay El Bandito hideout. We are here right now and honored to have on the line an absolute Bears legend, an NFL Hall of Famer, Gridiron Greats ambassador, and Jim Bob, probably the most electric player ever in the NFL.
By no means the greatest return specialist ever. Inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the first primary returner to get that honor. And Devin Hester, folks, without any further ado. Hey, I see you. You got the U on, buddy, and we're going to start this off about, playing at the U and getting drafted by the Bears in 2006 and so forth. But I kind of wanted to go back to your time at the U. A couple of things is that I know when I played college ball, before I got into the pros, we had hard practices. And in some instances, I do believe my college practices were harder than the pros. And the U, especially back in your era in 2004, they practiced hard. Did you feel that your practices at the U were harder than when you got into the NFL?
Oh, most definitely, man. I would say, yeah, I practice way harder, conditioning-wise, weight room, all the 9 yards. Waking up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning for morning lifts, morning runs was just way more intense than the NFL. Most definitely.
By 2005, after you'd kind of showed, your stuff and so forth, college teams, they just said, okay, we're not going to kick them anymore. And so that 2005 year, that transition year after you'd kind of exploded on the scene in 2004, how'd you handle that? Because you had to have incredible patience, and it had to be frustrating when they wouldn't kick to you, your sophomore year.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. But at the end of the day, we're coming off an amazing season the year before, and had done kind of solidified ourselves as a return unit and one of the best return units in the college football league. And so that part there kind of made it more easy knowing how dangerous it was, and teams were just not only playing scared, but they admitted they were scared. So that kind of like took a lot of pressure off me, knowing that they at least more so respected us. So, and then when we did get our opportunities, we made sure we made them pay.
Yeah, you made them pay for sure. That you played. You went three ways basically. Your special teams, you played offense and defense. Do you think that if you had not become the world greatest returner and just stayed at cornerback, do you think you could have got into the Hall of Fame just playing cornerback?
I honestly think so. A lot of people don't know. I came out of high school rated the #1 corner in the nation, and so when I did get my opportunity at UM to play, which my sophomore year I ended up playing a lot towards the end of the season, and within like 4 or 5 games, the last 4 or 5 games of the season, I ended up leading the team in picks throughout the whole season. So imagine me playing a full year.
Yeah.
At the corner position,
well,
you know what I mean?
And sacks. You led the team in,
Yeah.
had led the team in interceptions and sacks. So they brought you in. You played a lot of nickel. I went back and I did a lot of study on you and before the draft and so forth. And it was interesting. You remember the shuttle run that we had to do and all that stuff. Is that
right?
The scout notes on you was the Devin Hester, basically called the lateral thrust, in the fact that the scouts were talking about your track background. You won the long jump, I think, in the indoor that one year, but they were talking about the Hester jump cut. It was it was something that special notes that the scouts had on Devin, and the fact that he had such a lateral thrust that it was kind of off the charts. I don't even know if we measured a lateral thrust when we were doing back in my era, back in the late 80s and so forth. So you'll have to tell us about the Hester jump cut, because it's something that I didn't even know scouts were making a note of. Lateral thrust. I go, what the hell are they talking about? So can you explain that?
Yeah, to be honest with you, this is my first time hearing this.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of this situation, of the scouts putting that in their notes. I don't know. I guess it was a move that I made.
Yeah, it was. They called it a lateral thrust, and they said the Hester jump cut is off the charts. And I'm like going, what? Where was that measured, and how did they do that? But you were a track guy though too. And maybe it's just the fact that hey, growing up on the streets like you did back in where you grew up in Riviera Beach, is that maybe you needed to have that speed in those jump cuts, get out of trouble.
Exactly, man. So it's just something that you did as a kid. You find something that you're good at, and you just kind of polish it up as you get older. And try to use it as a football player as a secret weapon.
Yeah, back at the U, when you were there, I know how hard the practices were, because I've talked to a bunch of guys that went through the U. I got a lot of friends and so forth, and they talk about how hard the practices were. So you had to have some teammates back in the day that were pretty hard on you. That you had to be a little bit concerned with those guys in practice. Who specifically would you name was maybe the toughest on the team that you had a little bit of concern for, but he might go a little unhinged, it might hit me?
To be honest, I never really thought about it. I wasn't one of the kids that was in the back of the line complaining and stuff. I was more so up front. So I don't really remember having somebody that I looked at and was like, oh Lord, I'm scared of him. He's gonna hit me or beat me up.
Jim, no one could hit him,
right?
And they wouldn't want to anyway.
The only people that looked out for those guys was the guys that were slackers and the guys that was always in the back of the line and making up excuses for not finishing their drill. So they had to pay attention to who was gonna hit them.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
You think about this, and you always say how you changed the game. Jim Bob just mentioned, even on the talent assessment side, how you changed the way that they assess talent. But the fact that that's not a common thing now means that you were one of one, and they never had to worry about that again. You look at it on the return side, how you changed the game and how everybody did it. But are you surprised, Devin, even though you opened the door for the possibility for people to become pure returners, that no one was able to emulate, whether it's the talent or the success, to kind of fill that gap? I mean, you created a space for it, but nobody's filled that space.
Right. I always think about it after making the Hall of Fame that, you think about all the great athletes, you think about the great running backs, quarterbacks, and you try to, when you get in that Hall of Fame family, you try to figure out, okay, everybody's a Hall of Famer. We all know that. Everybody deserves to be in the room. And then you sit back as an individual and you try to think like, well, wow, who is the best quarterback though? Like, who is the best running back? Who is the best linebacker? And you have all these kind of conversations, amongst your close peers, you try to figure out, well, who was number one, number two? And then in my category, and I sit back and I say, wow, there's really nobody to compete against because I'm the first one.
No, and I'm so happy about that. We had Bill Bradley on the show a couple of years ago. Bill Bradley was back in the 70s, played for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he was a punt returner and nothing to the degree of your success. But Bill and I talked about it in the fact that we felt that there should be more special team players in the NFL Hall of Fame. I mean, you only got a couple of kickers. You're the, only one primary returner and so deserved. But they're really, I think the NFL Hall of Fame ought to look a little bit closer towards more Hall of Fame special teamers. And I appreciate what you did as far as opening up for return, but you did such a spectacular job. You are clearly the GOAT in regards to that category. There's no debate. It's not like who was the best quarterback in all the Hall of Fame. You are clearly the best all-time returner in the Hall of Fame.
Appreciate that, man. A lot of people overlook special teams, and it takes a great group of guys and a great group of men to really voice their opinion to even get us recognized. And when I look at the Hall of Fame, like, you really, as a special team, we already not favored to be in the Hall of Fame. So I feel in this situation, you really have to do something very extreme to even catch anybody's eye. So, for the next guy to come in as a Hall of Famer, when it comes to special team, really, really gonna have to stand out the chart and make a real big statement for guys that draw their attention.
Well, you're drawing attention to a lot of different things. Obviously, the position and some of the success, and certainly you got two teams that are going for important things this year. But let's talk a little bit about Gridiron Greats. You mentioned you weren't worried about anybody, hitting you or hurting you, and you were pretty elusive. Not everybody is as elusive, and for those players that are getting on in age, Gridiron Greats Foundation is really helping them, and you're supporting that cause.
Most definitely. It's just a recap. They're celebrating their 17-year anniversary of Port Ryan Appreciation Day. They are doing something special February 8th, 2026 by supporting Gridiron Greats Association funds. I know that they are offering two game tickets, airfare and hotel for the 2027 Super Bowl in Los Angeles. And on top of that, they're getting a year's supplies of Port Ryan. The way to enter in this, you have to visit portryan.com and enter in the competition to win this event. But they're doing things like this that's drawing a lot of attention to people to come out, and support Port Ryan.
So, Devin, think about this. That game, if you get to go, it'll be the Bears going for a back-to-back Super Bowl win. Just your thoughts as one of those guys, one of those very few guys actually played in the Super Bowl for the Chicago Bears, made a huge impact for it. Obviously supporting your teams. The U is going for a national championship, but this Bears mania, I mean, are you catching some of that fever? Everyone is super excited.
Yeah, most definitely. I was actually at the last home game, the first playoff game. They just came back and beat Green Bay. That was an amazing game. I don't know if you guys watched that.
Painfully so. Yes, I was there. Yeah. We have the Wana Parlay folks we are Sweet is there, and El Bandito Yankee. And so, yes, I was there being a former Green Bay Packer. that was super painful, buddy. And thank you for bringing it up.
But they got a tough task coming up this week against the Rams. So
Yeah.
man, we just look. We glad right now that we have home field advantage right now going. That's in our favor, and hopefully that we can continue out this W with the Rams, man, and move on to the next team.
Well, Devin, and the fact that the weather's pretty bad back here. It was really bad today. We had kind of almost blizzard conditions for a little bit, but I think the weather, is going to have a factor on that Rams game, that Rams team. And kind of segue into that a little bit, I had to question, I played at Soldier Field. You played there for 8 years. It's the windy condition, the windy city. But, how much do you think some of your success was? Because you figured out those weird air currents at Soldier Field better than anybody and better than the punters did. I mean, I kind of call that the part of your business, the Hester rule. I mean, were there some days that were really tricky and that wind created some problems for you? Or do you think it was more problems for the kickers?
It was more problem for the kickers. I knew when the wind was blowing terrible that I probably wasn't gonna get the ball anyways. But those guys, they had it more so worried about it more than me because they had to kick the ball. And you try to punt the ball and then you end up punting a negative 10-yard punt because the wind is so bad. It's just, and then who knows how the field goal guy, the kickers were. They was terrified before they even got to the stadium, and you can see the look on those guys' face during pregame warm up. Like, it's no way we're gonna be able to kick field goals today. So that win was terrible.
The league changed the rules. We got the new rules today, and I was having a conversation about you with one of my friends today, and I was saying, hey, we got Devin's coming on here. We're gonna talk to him about it. I go, I believe that in today's rules that you would have exceeded what you did previously in the NFL. And I really believe that these rules would help you and you would have even more impressive records, in my opinion. And I want you to talk about that, but also, too, I think the special teams coaches have not caught up to the nuances of these rules in the fact that I think when they do, and somebody like you or even half your skills comes along, we're going to see some dynamics. But I don't think the schemes on the return side is there yet with the scheme or the run back scheme yet. I think you would have crushed this rule.
I tell everybody this when they ask me about this new rule. I love this rule. When you sit and watch the game and you get an opportunity to see it from the stands, from the press box, it's almost like a punt return. It's really a punt return. You find one hole, you go in. I get so frustrated just by watching it from the stands and watching it from the press box because it's like, man, it's so many opportunities out there, man. It just you just got to find that one guy that just can find no holes and have the great vision to pick out the set blocks up and just hit that one little crease and they out of there, man. I'm like, man, I would have killed this league with this type of rule and factor.
Me and Dane were laughing about this. We were talking about elite athletes talk about the game slowed down for them. I will tell you, I apparently was never an elite athlete. The moment I stepped on the NFL field, I thought the thing went a million miles an hour. So I was not elite apparently, but you were. And you talk about the slow down motion effect and so forth, and people talk about it slowing down. But when they were kicking off to you, and you would see those 11 guys sprinting your way, and you guys had a called set. We were going to return right, we're going to return left, or whatever your special team set that you had in play. Could you see some things opening up way in advance, or did your speed and some elements go in one direction generate some of those changes? Because it's, every kickoff is like a snowflake. They are different.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both. I know the speed had a lot to do with it, but I also knew timing and patience and things like that. Some returners don't know how to set their guys up. When I mean by that is setting up blocks. They have no idea of how to set up a block. Like to today, when you watch the returners run and you got a guy in front of you and you outrunning your blocker, you're not even putting him in the best position to make the block. It's just certain things that I see today that returners just don't know about it. I just don't use to their advantage. Even when kickers outkick their coverage, the returners are going right to the side right away. like you got time, you got a good 8 yards, 10 yards to set up your opponents to make them feel like you going one way and then come back the other way. Like everything is almost rushed. Like they had no idea of setting up things. But then it comes to the point where some don't do it because they're not comfortable with their speed and being able to make it back over there. You know what I mean? To get back to the other side. So it has a lot to do with it. You got to have speed. You got to have a quick burst, and you got to have vision and understanding how to set up your block. And if you have those three things in common, then you should be a successful returner.
Well, when we talk about speed, this is the only guy on Madden to get the 100 speed icon, Dane. Okay, see, that's called digital perfect. All right, so your rating of 100, and on your brand, you have your own brand, and it is related to speed and so forth. So off the field, how have you transitioned the brand of you and being with that iconic speed designation, 100 speed icon? I think the only person on the Madden to ever have it.
I think that's a trend that probably will stay with me for the rest of my life. For the younger kids that was catching me on the tail end of my career, all they know is I was the player with the 100 speed. So a lot of kids, are the younger kid, that's all they know me as, a guy that was on Madden with the 100 speed.
It's funny because I was, I used to be back when we first brought out those. I mean, we used to travel around when we would go to games, and I was like the undefeated champion of the 1987, a version of that. So when you came out, and I was still playing it. My kids thought that they could beat me, and they couldn't. So it was disappointing. But talking about that speed, you're 34 years of age when you went to Seattle. And you had that great game, in Seattle, and your return yards in the playoffs. You had 5 returns for almost 200 yards that day. That was an incredible day. Was that a special day? Because, the 11 seasons you maintained that high level of speed when a lot of returners, they basically flame out. And, after 3 years, and you kept it for 11 years. That game, Seahawks game, those playoffs, that had to be meaningful.
It was very meaningful because I knew that, to be honest, going into that game, I knew that it was a possibility that might be my last game of my career. Because I had the toe injury that I had surgery on the year before, and it just wasn't the same. So I knew that going and playing out that season there, that it was going to be painful to have another season playing on that type of injury. And I just really wanted to go out with a bang. When you brought up them stats saying five returns for a little over 200 yards, that was just a way of me going out with a bang. But in reality, I had 2 returns called back. One was like 60-some yards, and another one was like 40-some yards.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah,
you can go back and watch that. I had a punt return that was called back. That was like, I want to say almost like 70-yard punt return. And then I had a kickoff return that went for like 40-something.
Yeah.
That got called back too. So I had to be honest with you, if those 2 that get called back, that was 300 yards returning game with seven returns.
Wow.
That would have been another NFL record.
I would go out with a bang.
Yeah. Talking about, your record performance, when you broke Deion's record, you were wearing an Atlanta Falcons jersey, and, Deion was in the stands, and then you high step it in there. I remember watching that and having Deion there. Tell us about that. That had to be pretty darn cool as well.
Yeah, a lot of people do know. A lot of people maybe don't know, but Deion was one of my mentors coming out of college. We built a relationship when I was in college. And throughout my career, we kept in touch. I visited him at his home. He visited me at my home. We text message daily, throughout my career. So we had built a strong relationship. And so, he was rooting for me. He knew at the time that I was 1 return away shy for breaking this record. And, he told me that, hey, man, I won't miss this opportunity for nothing in the world. He remember being at the Super Bowl. He remember returning as he was actually at the game at the Super Bowl on the field when I did it. So he talked about that so much. And then not only the Super Bowl, but then when I broke his record in Atlanta, he was actually there, like you say. And, he was at that moment after the game, we did an interview together. And, you know, he was more proud than I was, to be honest with you, man. So that really speaks highly of him and what he think about me and how he respect me.
Wow. Those are amazing. And we've got a couple amazing things happening with the two games here. You gave your prediction for the Bears, hopefully that the Bears can make it back to the Super Bowl again this year. And of course, Miami trying to make some history right now with basically a home game to beat really just an amazingly resurgent Indiana team. You got a prediction there? Do you think, what do you think is going to happen in the championship?
I think right now, Monday game with Miami and Indiana, I think it's not going to be no blowout. I know that for a fact. I feel like it's going to go down to the wire. And it's going to come with whoever had the most grit, whoever won it the most. It's going to be some hard hits out there. Who's going to back down and who's going to continue to fight type of game. I do feel like with the home field advantage that we have, that we will edge it out just because I feel like we going to last the longest when it comes down to fighting.
Are you surprised about how Indiana's been able to, over the course of a couple years, because of the NIL and the coaching, be able to build what is, I don't know, maybe going to be a dynasty compared to, let's say, Miami that's been a dynasty for decades, right? It took a long time and they're still there. You got this resurgent team is pretty strong.
Yeah, in reality, it is a shocking for everybody when you talk about Indiana playing in the championship. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Who would have ever thought that Indiana would be in the championship? We look at these guys as a basketball team, hockey team, soccer team. We never really looked at these guys as a powerhouse championship team, to be honest with you. And for out of the blue, these guys come out with a great, amazing season that they've been playing all year. Like, great football. Like, I got to give them credit when credit is due. I didn't expect them to play like this until, mid-season when they start, turning heads. And they continue to do it. And so it's a very shocking. But at the same time, they have a great football team out of nowhere, and give a knock to the NIL deals. I'm pretty sure they had a lot of factor into it, but hey, they built a great team, and right now they riding on a high wave that's playing pretty good.
So, I got to tell you is that, talk about coming out of nowhere in Indiana. I got to ask you about coming out of nowhere. You raced a cheetah. So you raced a cheetah. Can you tell us, first of all, how did that evolve? And then somebody was asking me, what? I go, yeah, he raced a cheetah. And somebody goes, did he win? I go, well, we're going to get the answer today. So tell us about that.
So it was a project that Busch Gardner was trying to set up. And they partnered with National Geographic. And it was, they always have man versus a ape strongest guy, who's the strongest, and then they came up with man versus cheetah, the fastest animal on the planet, which is obviously the cheetah, and then trying to pick one of the fastest guys in the NFL. So me and Chris Johnson actually did it together, and we took turns racing different cheetahs, and I ended up racing one. And so what they did was they put us in the cheetah ring, right, and they built the wall that divided us. So if you look, they had the cameras over the top of us, so you can see us running side by side, but the wall was splitting us. And so, like, you can hear the cheetah walking, you can hear him growling, you can hear the paws digging into the dirt. Like, I can hear all that right beside me.
I'm hoping he doesn't have a big vertical jump,
or he's not hungry.
So, you can hear everything. Like, I was able to hear him just walking and paws digging into the dirt, like you heard all that. And so it was like a suicide down and back type race. And I ended up beating my cheetah, man. And so when I beat my cheetah, it kind of, it blowed out. It blowed out. You know what I mean? Like, everybody knew about it. Went, oh, Devin has to race a cheetah and beat a cheetah. And I just kind of looked at it. If I was ever caught in the jungle and I had to get away from the cheetah, I know I wouldn't beat it straight ahead for a long distance, but if I can beat him with my quickness, stopping, going back and forth, then I got a shot. And that's where I took it.
Not everybody in the world can beat a cheetah, Dane. So if it's a race between me and you and a cheetah, all I got to do is outrun you.
We just got to have a lot of pork rinds to offer them. Just like, here, why don't you just have some of these delicious pork rinds? So, Devin, we are so excited about the games coming up. We're excited about the Super Bowl. It's going to be great whether the Bears are there in the game or not. Gridiron Greats is going to be there. That's Mike Dicka's Gridiron Greats, and you will be there as well. We'll have links up for all of it at WGNradio.com. Before we let you go, for fans seeing this and want to keep up with you, not like the cheetah, right, because they can't keep up with him literally, but maybe social media-wise, where can they go to follow you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I have an Instagram, Devin Hester underscore 23. And then I'm on Twitter at Devin underscore Hes 23. And pretty much it. And then Facebook, of course, you just type in Devin Hester and I pop up. So those are my 3 websites that I'm local on. I'm on them probably once or twice a day. So, you can interact with me on there, and that's where you can find me.
Appreciate it. Hey, really enjoyed the time with you today, partner. And good luck on Monday. We'll be in town for that, maybe run into you and so forth. But go you. Have a good one, partner. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Devin.
I appreciate you guys having me.
See you.
All right.
Well, that was good, Dane. I don't know about you, but I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was really good. And he had a lot of extra answers. Obviously, Jim Bob always big on the studying side and coming up with some things.
I don't want to brag about stuff like that.
Here's the thing is some things that even the guests don't know. This has not been the first time that the guest has said, wow, I did not know that about myself.
Yes, it was that it was the Hester lateral thrust. Never seen it or heard it before, but I talked to an NFL scout about this, and he goes, "Oh man, yeah." He goes, ask him about the lateral thrust element. I don't even know how you measure it because they were calling his jump cut move and so forth. But when we did, all the testing for NFL and so forth, we didn't have anything. I guess we had a shuttle run, but maybe that's where they were making it. But they really had notes about his jump cut ability was exceptional.
We're going to take a break and practice our lateral thrust. Also going to have some pork rinds as well. So keep it here. It's the Jim Bob Show, Game Day Edition.